Thousands gathered today to remember the life of Congresswoman Julia Carson. Her funeral lasted more than 3 hours and ended with an emotional graveside tribute. Carson, who lost her battle with cancer a week ago today, was memorialized by political leaders from across the state and across the nation. Our Cheryl Jackson was at today's funeral and joins us live from Crown Hill Cemetery with more. Cheryl, good evening.
Good evening, Raphael. Mourners lined the streets out here. Dozens of cars followed Carson's casket into the cemetery. Now, not everyone agreed with her politics, but her death showed how many people really loved and respected her. For months, people have worried about Carson's health. For weeks, they have worried that she was ill enough to die. Last week, she passed away, and now some are worried that there'll never be another like her.
And when I heard that she'd gone, I said, there'll never be another Julia Carson.
Julia's friends, family, local lawmakers, and dignitaries from all over the country came to her funeral to talk about her. They spoke of her personal style of politics.
She also talked about education and health care and justice, civil justice and racial justice. Now, she not only talked about it, but she was by far the most remarkable political figure I have ever seen in obtaining all of these things.
The Carsonian formulation on leadership: you can't lead people if you don't love people, and you can't save people if you don't serve people.
She believed that a voter registration card was another emancipation proclamation.
They thanked God for her flair.
We thank you for her spunk, her spirit, and her spectacular style.
Our mothers all taught us, if you want the tea to taste sweet, you can't just let the sugar settle to the bottom. You got to stir it and stir it. Nobody ever stirred the tea or stirred things up better in our town than Julia Carson.
They spoke of her tangled journey from poor single motherhood to a history-making congresswoman.
Congresswoman Carson herself had her first child at the age of 16. Second child at the age of 17. Social scientists would have written her off, dismissed her. She had God's favor on her life.
Most agree it was God's favor and Carson's own diligence that led to her success.
Just a tiny little minute, but all of eternity is wrapped up in it. Julia Carson maximized her minute. Now, what about you?
About 2,000 people showed up at the Eastern Star Church today to pay their respects to Carson. Live from the North Side, Cheryl Jackson, 6 News.